I say, whoa, now y'all should minds and them foul shot and reporting on the bamboozle again news network where Negroes get bamboozled every day, man. Here I go collecting my thoughts yet again. I'm kind of tired of talking about the bamboozle, but then I want to talk about it because the black Christian Negro is getting worse and worse and worse and worse, yo. There's no shame. There's no, I think that their souls in general, especially a black Christian Negro, right, who has some social status, they, words escape me to describe these brothers. We already know they half zesty, right? But their love for filthy lucre and so I seen a couple people cover Marvin Sapp, and I actually heard a story just like this. And eventually, I'm gonna get to some content about there are no new spirits. They might got a different face, same spirit, right? So when I went try to get myself together in Greensboro, North Carolina, right? Previous to me getting there, they had told me a story of a pastor man, you know what I'm saying, who had a what they call him, a armor bearer. So I'd never heard that term before. So I'm like, hey, yo, cuz, what's an armor bearer? He said, oh, that's the pastor security or bodyguard. And I'm thinking to myself, again, I don't know everything. But I'm like, why would a man of God need a bodyguard? I guess God protect you, right? Or the angels. You know what I'm saying? But whatever, right? But I guess when you're doing dirt, you do need some protection, right? So they had told me this particular story in which, it's offering time as usual. He don't get what he thought. So what he counted the money as soon as it came into the collection plate. He said, of course, God tell him. You gotta be careful when people say God told him stuff. You know what I'm saying? Told him y'all gotta give more. Y'all holding out, and ordered his armor bearers to lock the doors of the church and wouldn't let nobody leave till he got his amount of money. Christianized extortion, Same stuff as Big U. Extorting the very people you're supposedly helping, but you're actually helping themselves to you because you know they need a king. In the black community, we always, like even back in the day, we always desired a king or somebody to rule over us. And then will defend the bad treatment and the behavioral mishaps of said person who's ruling over you, but they're exploiting you. I don't understand it for the life of me. So they say Marvin Sapp, the gospel singer, I guess he a pastor too, right? He he said something to the fact the church ain't gonna pay for itself, and did the exact same move and told them people shut the doors of the church, don't let nobody leave till I get my money. But again, in these organizations, which are 501c3, I've never heard one of these organizations again setting up land, housing for their parishioners. You know what I'm saying? You give all this tithe money, right? 10%, or then they'll use the will a man rob God doctrine falsely, right? But when you find yourself in a financial situation, you can't go back to the same people you've invested in. They tell you go to social service and the white man. Where's the discipleship here, right? Is that even a thing in the Christianized church? Discipleship, where you know lock arms with another brother or sister, and you help guide them along the path. They're gonna make mistakes. Learn from it, whatever, whatever. None of that. People a joke, man. And then I understand the great delusion and all that, but or witchcraft, whatever they're cast, along with I don't know how that works. The Most High's sending forth a delusion. You mean tell me you can't see? I've had a plethora of issues, personal issues in my life, but being led astray by Negroes with lip service ain't one of them. That's why I'm to agree. I'm blackballed now. Case in point, right? So I've been going after the like these fake treatment centers and how they, financial misappropriation and all that, right? But if you like them, you'll defend them, right? So I talk about the bully coon on here, right? He got the big U spirit, right? So he used to, from what I heard, he used to be real thorough on the streets. And then he flipped mode squad over. Now he's basically, essentially, the dude on life the white man gave a shotgun to. You know what I'm saying? But he helped keep other Negroes in check, not behaviorally, but from rising up. He sowed seeds of discord, any competition from insecurity. He get them axed out the game, but the white man will let him do it because he don't form on all the other brothers. He'll keep them in line or keep them in discipline. Mind you, all the other ethnic groups, white, Hispanic, they run a show around. So I made a post about, now, it's supposed to be a spiritual program. They practice Easter. We already know what's up with that, right? But I know this personally because I was there multiple times and finally graduated, what, 2023, right? March of 2023, you feel me? Yeah. So whereas though they had made a post, now this is a multi-million-dollar organization, right? John Hopkins, Under Armour, and Baltimore, they sit on the board, you know what I mean? Like, they're a very powerful organization. They get millions of funding. A couple years ago, they built a $70 million women's facility that might house 10 women, you understand me? But we all know how that goes, right? So when I made this post, I essentially said, how does a multi-million-dollar organization ask for donations to feed the homeless when they take the cash assistance and food stamps from every single person who enters their program? But that's not used for the food. They get meat and food donations that's housed at another building that they feed the actual people with, and the meat expired. That's why they get it. You understand me? We all know this, right? So I got a plethora of homies who've been there, currently there. They saying whatever, whatever. Because we all know this to be true. We just got to deal with it till we get a leg to stand on so we can go on about our business, right? So the bully coon Negro hop in my comment section and say, look at you snakes, projection, disrespecting the institution to help you guys get together. Next time you relapse, go somewhere else. Right, right. So he got a vested interest on defending the people, right? Just like at my last job, I called them peoples out, right? Everybody in town knows to be true. Now she come defending and hop my comment section defending this particular dude, right? The synagogue of Satan, man. Like, oh, you need something to do with your time and whoop de whoop de whoop, right? But this same individual or lady who was defending the synagogue of Satan, man, was caught sniffing cocaine in the office of a substance abuse treatment center, and they were going to sweep it under the rug. You understand me? Oh, so to which I replied to the bully coon nigga. I said, cuz it's funny you say that because you're a sower of discord amongst the brothers. Because brothers have reached out to me personally and tell me how reprehensible you are. And then I reminded them, I said, yo, you remind me of the dude that infiltrated the Black Panther on behalf of a governmental system that don't want to see Negroes come together. But these always the Negroes you got to deal with. And then I pray, right? Not for people destruction or, because I don't know if David did that, but I don't know if we're in a new, law of grace or the, new covenant per se. So I don't know if I'm supposed to pray for that, even though I do want it, I ain't gonna lie. But it vexes me so much so, and maybe this is part of the curse or the plantation construct, you know what I'm saying? Where they give you an extra couple pieces of cornbread, and then you're esteemed among the Negroes, but you actually work against it to keep them in a certain place, yo. How much longer do these people get away with it? Me personally, if I do something wrong, immoral, unethical, something to that effect, right? I'd be lucky if it took 24 hours for me to get some type of consequence, reprimand, something like that, right? But these people have been going on with this for years, in some cases, decades. Still doing it, still getting away. Like I was hearing rhetoric about Puff Daddy might get out. It it's sad and like when do like and maybe do they find like when let's say they take the drop, particularly from their social status or whatever. Would that be one of the situations that helps the gathering or however that works? Of course, I don't know. I'm just speculating. It's just because for me growing up and how I was raised with a sense of community and all that, and then seeing what happened when individuals, whether they were part of Boule or Masonic stuff or whatever, and see the end result of them. I see how it's so hard because a lot of times in our personal life, we don't necessarily see examples or people leading by example of the tenements of the scriptures, right? More oftentimes than not, we should. Now, I ain't talking about. Now, we all got our faults, shortcomings, defects, of character, right? But very seldom have I seen people lead by example or be or operate in some humility or you know what I'm saying. It's just I see how, and that's why it's so triggering to me, right? Because if you're weaker along your journey, like it has been in mine, seeing this and seeing people, it's enough to drive you back into the world, or in my case, make me go get high. Not because I want to get high, I just want to ease my mind because none of this makes any sense. And how do I navigate through a system that's hell bent on either one, uh, uh, hindering me and curtailing me to a degree, or two chipping away at my soul enough to the point where I say, if I can't beat them, join them, and then I act like them. That's why I left my old job. You know what I'm saying? Because if I stay around y'all long enough, I'll start acting like y'all, and then what I come on here and talk about, I'll no longer believe in. I'm seeing rhetoric about that online between people who, let's say, just make spiritual content, right? And now they're renouncing Christ. Um, they're on like self-improvement or I'm my own God type of thing. But it's not like you cause yourself to breathe. You cause your lung, like you keep constantly thinking lungs draw air. You know what I'm saying? There's something else in control of that, yo. You know what I'm saying? And what takes place with me now is a further retraction, and I already was removed, but an even further retracting out of the world, because again, you can't tell who's who. And now what we're seeing now in the spiritual bamboozlement game is people coming to you in the auspice or in the image of, let's say, the truth, and giving you just enough of the truth to charm you in, while they subtly interject enough of their own doctrine or whatever the case may be to then harbor, at the very least, mental or spiritual control over you. I understand you don't control nothing in this world. So having control issues ain't one of my issues. You know what I'm saying? Based on insecurity. If you around me, you free to be whoever you is. In behavior and just how you treat people and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I called man out like, man, for real, you some poop, yo. You know what I'm saying? Then I understand why I'm shadow banned so much. You know what I'm saying? False idols are now becoming rivals in my personal life. Now I don't idolize nobody. That's never been an issue of mine either. But people you may have been alright with or whatever, let you tell the truth. Or if you a Negro, let you stand up for something. Like Tupac against all odds, they'll send the bully coon Negroes to you first. And they'll do it to show, their masters. I ain't nothing like him. I'll take care of this for you, bro. Like when Malcolm X said, if the master house on fire, the Negro, he'll be the first one try to put it out, or say our house on fire, even though you don't own nothing in the house or the house itself. You know what I'm saying? Or what I like to call the Shawshank Redemption principle. And I see this too, right? Where you find yourself in these institutions, wherever they be, not even just rehab, but let's say a church, right? You know what I'm saying? But your identity is so wrapped up in the church. If you got exiled or excommunicated from the church, you now have no clue who you are, because your identity was tied up into something that was given to you. My identity is tied up in all the things the Most High allowed me to gracefully endure. You know what I'm saying? So don't no job, no amount of finance, uh, social acceptance or friend. Don't none of that define me. It's nice to have, but if I don't have, I'm still operating, still have the same mentality and the same, you know what I'm saying, as I've always had. Like the gospel song, the world didn't give it to me, so the world can't take it away. You know what I'm saying? This is hell, yo, and I just keep, and it makes me so mad, Joe, because I'm like, let's say the young homie who coming up in the game, he don't know his way, he trying to live a different life. But these are the people he's presented to. Like, and that's what happened with me. That's how I morphed into this. That's how I started taking personal responsibility for my life. That's how I started thinking for my, and I always did it, but to a greater degree. That's when I started thinking for myself. That's when I started learning counter tactics and how to navigate these various archetypes of spirits I find myself around. Because I still got to complete the mission. But I can't, yeah, it's hard, but I can't say, I can't complete the mission because all these bully coon Negroes or bamboozlers. I got to discern who the bamboozlers are, the program they're operating in, because they all operate under the same program or the same spiritual laws, and use that to navigate. So when I was in troop, I used to use them to trip off of them. Like in DC, I'd size them up real good so I can get my laughter on, and then I'd be tripping like these people think I'm serious, yo. And that's another thing. They're so eager. You can technically bamboozle the bamboozle because their ego is so high, they can't think you on to them. That never crosses their mind. Even now. Even though I've shown, they still get like, where's it get? Like, he can't, there's no way he's figured us out. And typically that happens by default pretty quickly. Not that I'm fault finding, because this journey has made me it's given me the skill of social observation. I'm doing it, not even consciously realizing I'm doing it. So I'm taking in subconsciously and filing away in my file cabinet behaviors and how you respond in situations, so I know how to navigate in potential situations that I may encounter dealing with you. That's how I ain't never been tripped up on nothing. and really don't have to put a whole lot of thought process into it. Because I don't know what I'm called as, but I don't believe there are any new spirits being created in the spiritual realm. All like if you okay, I'll give you an example. I'm gonna hop up off here because I gotta go to work, right? Let's say a brother, you know, not to knock the man or woman or whatever, but let's say more so a brother. Let's say he tangy, right? Typically you can tell because no matter where they come from, age, demographic, education, upbringing, they all have the same mannerism. Because understand this, anything you do habitually, ain't too bad. Anything you do habitually has a spirit attached to it. If there's a white woman who primarily dates black guys, can't you kind of tell? You see what I'm saying? And on a deeper level, when it comes to because many bamboozlers have gone out into the world, there are certain telltale signs of the bamboozler. The grandiosity of their self, you know what I'm saying? They know how to talk right, but if you look at their behavior, the behavior doesn't match their talk. You know what I'm saying? They constantly need adoration and power. You know what I'm saying? These are just a few telltale signs of the bamboozle. And typically, if I wanted to run an offensive, I just put a chink in your armor, knowing you can't hold up because you have nothing internal to fall back on. Because everything you're donning yourself is external. You know what I'm saying? That's why America promotes, leisure and finance, those type of things, because they don't that I can manipulate and move people. Like jab time. I guess the people wasn't getting it at the rate they wanted. So then they put in an edict saying, well, if you don't get it, you can't work, which will knock your standard of living, which will knock you as a person. You know what I'm saying? So then people, bow down to that. Back to them, this same institute. Well, you can go online if it's still on YouTube. It's still up there. John Hopkins from Baltimore City ran simulations for the pandemic prior to the pandemic and lockdowns coming up. They kind of twerked, brother. And I was there during towards the end of this time, right? Hope the one ain't too bad. Where if you wanted to go on an overnight, you had to get the shot. Well, I ain't going on overnight no way. I ain't got the money going on overnight at this particular time. And I'll just wait till the storm passes. Then I'll go on an overnight when I feel like it, and I ain't gotta get no shot at all. See, if somebody trying to get you to do something, but there's some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Hook. You know what I'm saying? Just go ahead and endure gracefully. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'll give you. Oh, you know how to, like the scam. We know about these scams, right? Where the scam will email you or something and say, oh, you don't want $3 million, but in order to get the $3 million, you gotta send me 100. I tell you what. How about you sell me the? Since you know I got this money, how about you send me the $3 million, and then when I get the $3 million, I'll give you 300. How about that? Put down there, what? Because you got to do what you got to do first for you to receive something. You know what I'm saying? Just like when Satan tempted Yeshua to giving him something prematurely. Yeah, I'll give it to you now. But before I give it to you, bow down to me. On that note, I think the wind picking up. I don't know if y'all be over here and I gotta get to work, get my coffee, get my mind right. Man, one love, this just highlight the bamboozler again. And cover your sex. Now you discern who is shepherding your life and whatever. But me myself, I'll wait till God reveal it to me. You know what I'm saying? But my own efforts to ingratiate myself to this, that, and the third, it don't seem to be working. It seems at this time it's not immediate. So let me just stand it, even if I don't like it. Let me just be obedient. In that and a plethora of other areas. And on that note, I'm gonna holler at y'all. One love, baby. Ooh, ah.